This is the Stubborn German Podcast, coming to you from the beautiful and always festive Stubborn German Brewing Company in delightful Waterloo, Illinois, not very far from the St. Louis metro area. Next time you're around, stop in. I'm Kevin Osteen, joined by the proprietor of the Stubborn German Brewing Company, Mr. Chris Ron.
Hi there, Kevin.
Hello there, Chris. Our esteemed producer, Mr. Jared Chasson.
Good evening. How are you?
Excellent. And our very special guest, Mr. Andrew Glessner. Welcome.
Good evening, all.
All are having a good evening so far.
So far.
And to you also.
We'll get there.
So, Andrew, you're a listener of this podcast. You know that we start all of these off with a fun and exciting, highly rewarding game called the German Word of the Day.
Yes, we do, and I'm a little nervous because I know that Andrew does sprechen Sie a little Deutsch.
I did carry a low average in German class in high school, yes.
How many years?
2.
Oh, good. I think this is on year 3. Okay.
Okay, year 3.
He's
I'm not trying to get you, but I can't make it that. You can't make it like bathroom or something. What's bathroom?
El
don't
Baño?
El
Is that
Baño.
what
I'm pretty
it
sure
is?
it's El Baño.
what's Spanish for bathroom in German?
All right. German word of the day is Klebestift.
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 You heard it.
Well, we like to be polite to our
sure.
guests.
You knew
and
that
let
was
them
coming.
go first.
Klebestift.
Boy, that's a tough one. I have absolutely no idea.
On. You also know that it's fun to just make up a random word.
What?
He took this out of a third-year German book, so he cheated on you.
It seems that way.
Klebestift.
Klebestift. I got nothing, man. I don't even... You're going to have to come back to me, I think.
Okay.
I got to think on
Okay.
this for a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
We'll come back.
Draw
He
on my
defers.
Kevin, what do you think?
No,
what do you think
nice.
this
Well
one?
played.
Jared's quick to have Kevin take over.
He's using courtesy as a ruse.
That's right.
Hey, what do you think about that? Klebestift.
That's it.
I'm going to say it means high forehead.
High forehead.
High forehead.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody has a Klebestift, they have a very
That's
big,
good.
tall forehead.
I could see that.
Yeah, they do. That is a very specific answer. Okay.
I do what I can.
I'm going to go
Jared?
a little more, literal's not the right word, when it sounds like
Inaccurate?
audible. I don't know. Meat cleaver. That's what I'm going to guess.
A
Meat
Klebestift.
cleaver is a Klebestift.
Okay. I could see where you come up with that.
Sure, of course.
And back to
Okay.
Andrew.
Okay. So, what is it? Say it again.
Klebestift.
Can you use it in a sentence?
That was going to be my next thing.
Well, the German word of the day is Klebestift.
I know that usually Chris uses
Careful.
things about the
Throwing
guest
gear around.
as part of the
Yeah.
word choice.
Yes, sometimes I do.
Oftentimes.
So
Sometimes I
I am
don't.
going to go out on a limb here and say it means binoculars because I think
All right.
it's something that for some reason that sticks out in my head.
Okay.
Binoculars. Do you and
Binoculars.
Chris have a history with binoculars?
Andrew and I and binoculars go way
Wow.
back.
We're going to have to learn all about that.
All right.
That's right.
So, yeah, stories to come about binoculars. But, all right. I have the entries tabulated, and
right.
we'll let you know at the end of the episode just how correct you are.
All right. So, Mr. Glessner, you mentioned that you and Chris go way back, especially with stories about binoculars. What's the context of your relationship here? You guys known each other quite a while?
Yeah, entirely too long, probably. No, Chris and I met in grade school, I would say, as both attendees of St. Peter and Paul Catholic School.
That's correct. So far, so good.
Yeah, and then it
all true?
just progressed
That's all
from
true.
there. We were both we met in band,
Yep.
Oh, right on.
both drummers.
You were
in
both
grade
Kleberstifters?
school. Yes, yes.
Binoculars? No. No.
But yeah, I mean, we hung out all through grade school, or not so much grade school, but high school for
high
sure.
school for sure. We were talking the other day at the Steve Ewing show here.
Nice.
When I guess so normally like at if you go to St. Peter and Paul Catholic School, a lot of the kids there will end up at Jabot for high school. So there are a handful of defectors, if you will, that will cross over to the public school.
Defectors.
Defectors.
That's a very accurate
right.
word for that.
I mean, is it not?
Freedom asylum seekers? Or
Also,
Well,
pretty valid.
I
Yeah.
wasn't going in that direction, but okay.
that's what a defector is, right?
Oh, anyway, so I had done that the year before. Andrew's a grade younger than me, so I was already in the band and knew no one, made some friends, whatever. But then Andrew came in, and was like, "Oh, I know you,"
Nice.
and that's literally how.
When you move from SPBS to the public school, which is the small pond to the big pond,
Right.
you definitely gravitate to those that you know, and Chris was one of the few that I didn't know. So
I just want to caveat these band stories with the word allegedly, because I have no memory of Chris or Andrew being in the drum line.
Maybe you're the one that
and it's
wasn't in
definitely probably my fault.
Jared
there,
was literally in the drum line, literally gave Andrew lessons,
yeah.
Oh,
and
boy.
Jared has no clue that he did that.
I don't. I mean,
Were you experimenting with some
I've
crazy things?
I've
or?
said this about Chris before, because I taught the drum
Forgettable.
line after
Forgettable.
high school. I don't remember Chris. I'm sorry. And then the other day,
It's okay.
I was just telling my wife, I was like, I know Andrew from somewhere. Like, but, you live in this town long enough, you see people at this point in life, it's like, well, I know him from somewhere. I don't know. I know this guy.
From something.
And then he tells me, he breaks it to me the other night at the Steve Ewing concert. He's like, yeah, I was in the drum line. You taught me in drum line. I'm like, what? No.
Taught him that.
that's how memorable I am.
Yeah.
I guess.
You and Chris both.
Just the
all-
two most unforgettable people.
Something about those SPPS kids. They,
There's a trend here. I think it's perhaps
definitely
it's
me.
Jared's memory.
I have
yeah.
horrible
Oh,
memory.
well, that could be too.
So I apologize.
It's okay. But after that, I mean, even after the drumline stuff and things like that, it seemed Chris and I had a lot of similar interests that revolved around music. One of them being one of our favorite bands, Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
And we would, after a lot of the band practices, we would come back to my house and continue to make terrible music in my parents' upstairs.
Continue to
Now
make
wait a
terrible
minute.
music.
Both of you are drummers. So was one of you playing something else?
Andrew is multi-talented, while I am not.
Okay.
So
What
that
did
made
you
it
do,
very
Andrew?
simple.
Talented is a bit of a stretch.
Well,
Good enough to.
were you doing the guitar?
Adventurous.
Drop D tuning is
Okay.
anyone's favorite thing.
You gotta love drop
You can muddle through anything
right.
with drop D tuning. But yeah, we would come back and do some horrible renditions of some of our favorite songs. And
I'm sure it sounded terrible, but it was fun.
No, I'm sure it was cool.
Oh, that's the important
It's
part.
still fun today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we still
Wait,
do it
you
occasionally.
mean you still do this?
Well, it's been.
It's been a-
That's
been
gonna
a
be our
minute.
next episode of
It's been a
Stubborn
minute.
Podcast.
That's totally happening.
But coincidentally, and one of my favorite things to tell people about Chris and Tammy
Oh, God.
is that some of their first dates,
yes,
quote unquote, were in that upstairs room of my parents' house in a horrible attempt to impress girls with
check
our
this out.
Busting
with our-
out the
with our
With
mediocre
your performances?
Yes,
Fade
with
to
our
black.
Oh my gosh!
mediocre
you brought-
musical
You
skills.
brought chicks upstairs and then performed.
Do you want to hear Creeping Death?
Yeah, there you go.
While my mother and father screamed up the steps
Yeah.
to turn it down.
Can you shut up? No.
Wow, that's
Now-
You
yeah,
impress
that
chicks.
Yeah.
The other night after the Steve Ewing show, when we were all talking about this, Kristen and I went home and busted out the yearbooks,
Oh boy.
and we found
was
y'all's
scary, huh?
pictures.
Oh boy.
Oh
And
wow, nice.
You were some
handsome,
cute, young-looking boys.
gentlemen.
and you didn't,
Yeah.
sure.
you didn't
Yep.
scan those and
That
post them right
97
away.
yearbook, I'm sure,
Oh,
was
yeah.
awesome. I could see it in my eye if I closed my eyes.
It was quite comical, I will say.
That's cool.
Yep.
So at that
So
point,
cool.
which Metallica album were you playing from, or is it just all of them?
That was right about when Load and Reload came out, and I guess
Yep.
the Garage Inc.
So everything before that. So yeah,
Yeah.
The good stuff.
The
My
good,
favorite.
the good
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
the
yeah.
old
Good
stuff.
The old stuff. Yeah.
The old stuff is the good stuff. So that's what you're saying? Okay. Just
Yeah.
trying to be clear here.
Well,
There's a
yeah. And
line
And
you draw.
It wasn't
No.
exclusively Metallica,
So you-
but there was
yeah.
other
We-
there was other titles
sure.
there too.
We tried to do some Led Zeppelin, and
Sure.
I think that was one of the first ones.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
definitely try. Well, especially if you're trying to play, Bonzo.
Right?
Right.
As a drummer, that's a
Yeah.
tough one to.
Yeah, like I had it difficult. He's trying to play guitar.
To be a fly on that wall.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Even the fly's like, I want out.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny is a couple weeks ago I was driving back from Chicago and I actually played Master Puppets entirely all the way through.
Good boy.
Start to finish, and I
Nice.
love that record. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm old enough to remember the day it came out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Also impressive.
Yeah.
So were you a fan back then? Like when it came out, would you call yourself a Metallica fan?
As soon as I heard that, I was.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
All right.
so I had a good friend of ours, you know, in junior high who was, you know, into Iron Maiden and into Slayer and Megadeth and Metallica, and we gave a bunch of crap because none of us really heard it. The rest of us really understood it.
Yeah.
And we stayed the night at his house when Master Puppets came out, and he threw the cassette and just hit play, and we're just like, holy cats, this is good stuff. Yeah, so that album has a special place.
Nice.
That's cool.
I would say after the Black album, we like for Load, Reload, like we were at Best Buy in line waiting for the CDs to get released, or like we'd get them that day or whatever.
Yeah.
Like for what, 2 or 3 of those albums, like that's where we were.
Nice.
For me, it was the Black Album. Like that was when, not just Metallica, but just in general, I was more into music. CDs were becoming more popular and attainable. People had CD players, things like that. And the Black Album was like amazing to me. But now, like, I have friends that looking back on that, that's when they started hating Metallica because it
Right.
jumped
change,
the shark, so to
Yeah,
speak,
oh,
or
yeah.
they sold out. You know, it wasn't their thrash metal. And it's like,
Little
what?
did they
Yeah,
know
that's
that
my
Load
favorite album.
and Reload were coming.
Exactly. Yes. Right. That's when I thought they sold out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my dad is buy a car, set the radio to
Yeah.
Keishi, super glue it, and then throw the knob away kind of guy.
Right.
So
Nice.
I can remember when the Black Album came out, and them playing it enough on the radio to where it was like, this is something, and I kept with it even after that.
Yeah.
And the Metallica was kind of like the gateway into heavier rock for me, heavier metal, into the Panteras,
for sure.
and things like that.
The irony is there's Bon Jovi playing on the sound system
Yes.
right now in the bar. So
I'm not proud of that, but
It's all right.
as he describes his Pantera roots.
yeah, Pantera would be better.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
It all
okay.
starts somewhere.
You know,
It's not always crowd friendly though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's
right.
It's funny because my buddy John, who I was talking about before, he was the kid who he was an only child, and his parents did well, so he was always the guy with the money to buy the latest whatever, right? So we would always, summertime, he'd pick me up, we'd go to the record store, and he'd buy a bunch of stuff that I never heard of. And there's another one that was really good that a lot of people aren't aware of, and it was Man-O-War,
yeah.
Defender. Remember that song? There's a poem spoken by Orson Welles in the beginning of it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's killer. And it's funny talking about this because it's not like I play that every day, but that's one of those kind of like when I'm in the car by myself.
yeah,
Just because not many people know that.
kind of guilty pleasure songs.
Well,
Like, I
my-
guess I got to go back to that.
My wife would be like, "What the hell is this?"
you were weird.
Yeah, I don't need her to have any more ammo against my weirdness.
Right.
So I'm going to totally nerd out here.
Yes.
Well, you said Orson Welles,
Like
which reminds
like
me
now
of,
you're going to nerd out?
Right, as if we
Okay.
weren't nerded out enough.
Yeah.
1986, I believe, Transformers the movie comes out, and not this new.
In 86?
Oh yeah, the cartoon. It was
Oh,
a cartoon.
okay.
It was
Okay.
called. It was a cartoon. But it was called Transformers the movie.
Okay.
Came out right in the peak of the Transformers toy line and all that stuff in
Right.
the 80s, and Orson Welles was the voice of Unicron,
Oh man.
and it was
Wow.
like this epic. Like they had a bunch of other big famous names as the voices. So it was like they got Orson Welles.
Am I the
to
only
be-
one thinking, who's Orson Welles?
Orson Welles
Yeah,
was.
you are the only one.
Yeah, so he was an actor. Goes way back, and I don't know if you remember ever hearing the War of the Worlds story. The War of the Worlds was a radio play that was done in the 30s, right, late 30s, and it was so passionately done and so well scripted and read that the general public in this country listening to the radio thought we were being invaded by aliens. It was credible.
Wow. Right.
And it was mostly because of Orson Welles. And it changed everything with the way people listen to the radio, and they had to do these giant apologies and really tell the public, no, don't panic, don't go in the bomb shelter. This is
not yet.
That was the only source of media at the time.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
You trusted what you heard.
The first and only, right?
Yeah, and then he went on to have an illustrious, Hollywood career and a variety of different stuff. But Orson was a very big guy, and you might remember the Ernest and Julio Gallo wine commercials. We'll sell no wine before it's time. Remember hearing that?
No,
that was
don't.
Orson Welles. Nice. They got him to do that in the 70s. Sorry. But
Okay.
Well, I think they said
That's a good Orson Welles detour.
the Transformers appearance was his last.
Wait a minute.
Was his
That's every
last movie
podcast.
that he
yeah,
did. So,
yeah.
It was definitely late. In
that Man of War record came out after he died.
Oh wow.
He had written,
Yeah.
and I don't know if he had read that poem as some project and they just acquired it.
Right.
I don't think it was written for
Yeah.
that song. That's
Sure.
my guess.
Nice.
It's funny. Okay, I'm just going to go down that rabbit hole a little bit further.
Here we go.
Just for a minute. There are voices that we grew up with that, you might not know who they are. A great one, of course, is Casey Kasem. The countdown begins. And Casey, you may have heard this, but there's a great outtake reel where he loses his mind and he's swearing. You ever hear that one?
I think
It's great.
I think they played it on Stern before.
They have.
Like
It got out. There's an uncensored version on YouTube. You got to look it up. Casey Kasem outtakes, and he's mad because when he was doing the American Top 40 countdown, there was a transition between an up-tempo song and a slow song, and he had to do a long-distance dedication of some kid whose dog died, and he's like, you come out of these up-tempo numbers, man, and then you got to go into somebody's dog dying. So that's a good one, but there's another one that I enjoy even more, and it's a gentleman named Ernie Anderson. And Ernie Anderson was the voice of ABC television all through the 70s, 80s, and into the early 90s. So when you used to hear Saturday nights, Captain Steubing, falls in love with Isaac the bartender on the Love Boat. Remember that was Ernie Anderson,
that guy every
right?
time.
And there's a 12-minute outtake reel on YouTube of Ernie Anderson, and he is just so funny, and it is not politically correct, and it's a lot of swearing, and it's hilarious.
Like just mad, losing his mind, or what?
Well, these voiceover guys, that's a craft, and they all have their own thing they do to get going. So there's a lot of throat clearing and saying syllables, and and then he says his word. He does his
The arsonist has oddly shaped feet.
Yeah, well,
Unique New York.
yeah. It's not really the tongue twisters. It's just these silly little things. But whenever he would screw up a word, he just goes off the deep end swearing. He just gets pissed, and he's like, and the producer it's funny. It's worth. Whenever I need a laugh, I listen to that.
That's awesome because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we talked a little about the history between Andrew and Chris. I think we can mention, just because it's happened recently and I've talked with them about it, you guys did some deer hunting, is that right? Out on Andrew's property?
Yeah.
We dabble.
Can we get into that? And you took
We tried.
That's right. You took your sons out there, Chris?
Yeah.
Some were more successful than others.
That's true.
Can you describe a little bit about what that whole setup is like and how you guys, what you do?
Well, my family owns a good chunk of property south of town, and Chris is one of our guest hunters, I suppose. Probably a little better than that. We'll call it a resident hunter now.
Resident hunter. Look at that.
Because he just won't go
Moving
home.
on.
Wow. Look at
Sort of.
Yeah.
Just kind of hangs around.
Well, he brings a lot to the game, so mostly his
Beer.
Yeah,
Yes.
Understood.
That's a lot.
but
It's okay. We can just get that all out in the open. That's fine.
But he brings his boys too, and in my opinion, one of the best things you can do as a hunter is to involve the next generation. So my kids aren't quite there yet; they'll be there in a couple of years, but his are. So it's great to have Chris and his kids out and do what we do. So
and the gang that already has hunted there for many years is super welcoming and listens to my kids, like listens to their stories and all that, which is a lot of people can just kind of be like, buzz off, kid. I don't,
Yeah, but your kids are into it, man. I mean, you want to talk about raising sportsmen.
They love to talk about it, and they love to talk to other people that are also into it, and that's the perfect combination. So yeah,
and they got their first deer this year, right?
they did.
That
Yeah,
is super cool.
Yep, they each got their first deer. So yep, they're
And one of them got their second.
Yes, I
one
know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. As any father, I mean, I remember when I got my first deer, I can close my eyes and replay it
yeah.
right now.
Yep.
So
Same.
to know that, the next generation gets to do that kind of stuff too is just the greatest thing about it.
I will say I was super happy for him when he got his first deer. I was a little pissed when he got his second deer. I was like, all right,
you know, like,
showing
settle
off
down
now?
here,
Come on
kid.
now.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the Facebook post was borderline condescending, which is awesome because that's the way it should be. But it's like I think the text was, "I'll take a second."
Yeah. It was okay. I'll take a second.
Yeah,
Like,
Nice.
attaboy,
And-
attaboy.
Yeah.
I was glad.
And I
yes.
didn't talk to him about that, but
No, it was
stung-
totally fine.
It
tell whose son
stung
he is,
double for me because I got the big.
Did you
goose
get
egg.
blanked? Oh man.
Out of our crew,
Andrew-
I was the only one
Oh man.
that got the goose egg.
the
this
only
year.
one that gun hunted out there and did not shoot a deer with gun,
Yeah.
except had to track down. He probably put
Everybody
the
else's?
most
Yeah, he put the most work in,
miles,
but-
Yeah.
In-
We did 2 tracks,
and he
for
just
2
ended
deer.
up into both of those somehow.
Yeah, I ended up involved with them. But that's the way it goes when when you're the guy on the property that knows who we got to go talk to in order to get permission to go onto adjacent properties. So you got to be involved, and that's the way it goes.
Part of the sport.
But no, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's great. We got a great group of guys, and our farm is very generational. My dad's age people are kind of phasing out. So in order to keep the tradition alive, you got to bring in some fresh blood, some younger folks to help out the people that are still hunting out at our place that are my dad's age, because dragging 200 pounds of dead weight out of the woods is
No fun.
easy task,
not easy.
and it's even harder when you're 65 years old or older and have any kind of issue that knee problems or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not exactly youngsters ourselves anymore,
Right.
But
Speak for yourself.
That's why my kids are there.
Yeah.
Start
Yeah.
dragging.
Yeah, for sure. But
Now, I will say, I saw a couple photos of Chris's kids and videos,
I was
maybe
wondering where you're headed with that.
of their deer hunting ventures, and I saw how Chris does it. He's in a 4-walled cabin
Ooh, yeah, with heat.
with a bottle of bourbon and Glencairn in his hand.
Yeah.
He's roughing it out there.
to
let me
be
tell
fair,
you.
those pictures and to full disclosure, Chris's kids did not to shoot their deer at our place.
At his place, right?
It,
Oh, okay.
It kills me that it didn't. I would have loved to have been a
thought they
part
did.
of it.
No?
I didn't know he
No.
was so. I didn't realize that was such a thing.
It's not. It's not. I'm happy.
Okay, all right.
1,000%.
Sounds like it is though.
A little
No,
bit.
it is. I mean, who wouldn't want to be involved in something as great as
I
that?
never gave that a second thought, but
No,
because I'm
it-
not in those shoes, I don't.
No, and it's not like
Yeah.
not like anger or
I
anything
know,
like
yeah.
that
I
by
know.
any means. But
But it would have been awesome.
oh
been
yeah.
neat, yeah.
To see those kids' eyes light up in person,
Yeah.
Now that was awesome because I got
Would-
to be right there. and
it
that-
is what it's all about. So
I don't think
but-
I've ever seen them smile so big. Go
But
ahead.
to your point, his luxury Adams Mark hotel that he hunts out of is not on our property. Now we do have
I realized I'm not doing
well,
it right.
on your property, I literally hunt
Mark
out of
Hotel.
what is called the Hilton. So
right. We have a stand that's called the Hilton that the guy that built it gave it that name. It has a roof and windows
and a
all,
phone and a satellite
yeah.
dish. That
Yeah,
It's
none of it
ridiculous.
works.
Pizza,
but
yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like whatever he could drag out there.
Yeah,
Well appointed.
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
It is very well appointed.
But it is cool, and you're right. It's neat to see the different generations, come of age, so to
Still-
speak,
yeah.
with that, and pass it down. So yeah, it's cool.
My kids have never been into anything as much as they are into the outdoors right now. Hunting, fishing.
Yeah.
All of it. I mean, right now they are way into it so much that like they're ready to start giving up some sports, like to have more time to
real
to do
sports for fake sports. Wow. Okay.
Well, I'm talking like basketball, not baseball, not
Bite
baseball.
your tongue.
No, but you have taken
Not
them.
hockey, yeah.
You've done like your kids are in fishing tournaments and things.
Yeah.
Like they're not just going fishing.
they're-
They're
like
serious
taking it
because
serious.
we've been camping at the same place of the Ron
Yeah.
family, and my
right.
wife's hardcore into fishing.
Yeah.
And your boys are like all over it.
Yeah. And I'm just glad they're old enough where I can just let them go and fish, and I can just like sit there and watch and don't
Yeah.
have to do it too.
Yeah. Figure out where the bottom of your Glencairn is.
Yeah, I'll find it. It's down here somewhere.
Chris's oldest is into fishing more than anybody that I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he is enthusiastic about fishing. Like, fishing's
Yeah.
never really been a big one for me. I don't really know why. The best reason that I could ever come up with is when you have access to fishing
Yeah.
anytime you want it. It
Then
pretty
you
much,
just don't do it.
It pretty much loses its luster.
Yeah. Sure.
So for me, destination fishing is still fun. I've been to Canada to do fishing, and we used to go into central Missouri to do river fishing. That was always fun. Or Reelfoot. We used to go down to Reelfoot. But to just grab a pole and go in the lake out back
right.
has never really had any luster to me. But his kids are like, they come to our 4th of July party, and they will leave all the other kids who are doing kid things to go fishing
Yeah.
Yeah.
in my little half-acre pond at my house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That's
'cause it's
cool.
new water.
And be ecstatic
Yeah.
about it.
Right.
It's unbelievable. And it's awesome because God knows I'd rather see them doing that kind of stuff, and my kids too. I go outside, put down the PlayStation controller or your phone or your tablet, get outside.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
There's nothing better than the silence and the serenity of hunting or fishing or any of that kind of stuff. The catch, the bag of getting a deer or getting the goose or the turkey or whatever it is almost secondary
Totally.
in my head
Yep.
to
Yep.
the sit, the stalk, the weight, the utter peace that comes from the outdoors.
And I've gotten my deer like the first 5 minutes of the first possible daylight time of opening season, and I almost like
It's disappointing.
it is. You get let down almost. Like I really kind of want to just sit out
You
here.
can still sit out there.
You can, but you don't.
I find myself, and my wife gets kind of aggravated at me because she shares my belief, but also get on the board.
Yeah. Let's get one.
right.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
I pass on a lot when it comes to deer hunting, and for that reason, because I enjoy the sit, I enjoy the weight, I enjoy, the I could shoot this one, but I'm going to be scaring off the monster that's right behind him that I don't see.
The strategy, yeah.
or whatever it may be, and to me, there's nothing better than just the serenity of it.
Yeah.
And in today's world, where you have you have literally the world in your hand with a cell phone, where you can pull up Netflix and sit in your deer stand and
You've
watch.
never done that.
I have. I'm not going to say that I have. I have on a slow afternoon. I've been tempted into it, but it's easy.
You're not
it's
watching
easy
hunting videos on YouTube?
Oh, Steve Ranella videos. Yeah, for
Meat
sure.
eaters.
Oh,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's a staple in my
Yeah.
house.
Oh, yeah.
When they release new episodes, my kids go bananas.
We watched that today, actually. Did you?
There you go.
It's like every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I know.
What is in this fancy glass, by the way?
What we have in our fancy glass
Yeah.
that Jared gifted us in the last episode is New Riff Rye.
This is good.
New Riff is out of Newport, Kentucky. It's the very northern tip of Kentucky, kind of across from Cincinnati. And I bought this. I went to Whiskey in the Winter. The Stumpy's crew invited me along, had an extra ticket or whatever, and I gladly accepted. And it's basically, you go in, you got to dress up nice, which I was not good at. It was terrible. But anyway, you go there and you pretty much can try whatever you want, within reason. You still have to try to get home. And all
Sure.
that.
Yeah, right.
Which we had a driver. We're good. But anyway, one of my takeaways was the New Riff Rye, and I made sure to buy it as soon as I got back, so this is brand new for us. But I love it.
It's good.
Awesome.
Yeah. I could see hunting with
a little bit of
little bit of this.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to start
do
doing that next time.
hunting with
I'm
bourbon.
hunt like Chris does.
Add to the
Bottle of
piece.
bourbon and
It's not against the law.
Okay, so it's not against the law. And the thing is,
Interesting.
I have 2 kids that both have, they have tags available. They both have guns. They both I don't need to bring a gun hunting because they both have. What
you
are
can
we
bring
going to
a
do
bottle.
with 3 guns in a little stand? So yeah, I usually don't.
And now
I don't
they're
plan
good
on
shots
shooting.
because they got their
Yeah,
first deer.
I mean,
so, yeah.
Now until
Okay,
they miss,
I want
then
you to
I'll have
clear
to take over.
clear
Or
something
wound
up
one.
for us here.
Yes, that's never happened.
Sorry, Drew.
I've had many conversations recently, even one today, about bourbon, where someone will always inevitably step in and say, and it has to be from Kentucky.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I always go, well, okay, that's a common misconception. But
It
then
is.
you sound like a pompous jerk.
Right.
When you
It depends
say
on how you
that.
say it.
I know. I try to say it with as much glee as possible.
I just let
You have
them-
to say actually
Actually.
Well, you'll know.
with
Yeah.
a raised eyebrow.
Sure.
And your pinky finger up off your Glencairn.
So
That would be incorrect.
What is?
No,
it doesn't need to come
bourbon
from Kentucky.
has to
right?
be from the United States. There
Right.
are distilleries in every single country, and country.
yes, there you go.
You did say country. There might be.
Wow.
Probably
What
are.
did you
good
put
stuff.
in this glass, Jim? Every single state,
Yeah.
there are bourbon distilleries. Bourbon's being made everywhere. So, yeah, it's not now 90-something% of the bourbon in the country is made in Kentucky.
Yeah.
But
There's
yeah.
a long history with Kentucky, but
Yeah.
that's not part of the rules.
Well, and your current bourbon of the week is done in Indiana.
Yeah,
right?
that's
That's
why.
an
That's
Indiana
kind of
one,
why
yep.
I brought it up.
But-
I am
Yeah.
unlike
Starlight.
Chris and Kevin. I am drinking the bourbon of the week, which is a half price pour. Thank you very much,
You
Stubborn
are
German.
welcome.
And it is Starlight. I can't read the other 2 words.
It is. I think it says the Carl T. Huber
Carl T.
bourbon,
Huber.
which
And this
is
is
like
out of-
the. Yeah, it's. They have like a pumpkin farm, almost like an Eckert's from around here, and one of the things they also do as part of their shtick is bourbon, and they do a really good job.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very good. Now,
very sticky.
today, I
Sticky.
believe, is the last day for Starlight. So if you want it half off,
You better
it's
get
too
here
late.
quick.
The bartenders are putting the stools up on the tables.
Bless
But,
America.
That's the second time.
wow, what is
No,
happening
it's hooked
here?
on my foot. I'm
Kevin's throwing
Kevin's
equipment.
kicking our equipment over.
no, sorry about
He's
that.
trying to kill that thing. Oh, here it goes
It's,
again.
it's the other foot. It's hooked on one of them.
You know what?
I
I'm
don't
just
know
going to
which
hold
one.
this. We probably don't have too much longer.
No, we'll get there.
But yeah, any other time, every week there will be a highly desirable bourbon half price that Chris picks out for you personally.
And that's a special
Yes.
thing.
It is.
And
so special.
They're always good.
And you know what? I'm going to bring this up too. This is getting into your
boy.
business a little bit, Chris.
Okay.
Because
All right.
Tammy
All
did
up in your
it.
business.
Tammy posted it first. So
Okay.
she said that you recently got a larger than normal allocation of, I believe it was Pappy's.
Yeah, it
Is
was
that right?
the Van
Really?
Winkle collection. Yeah.
And because you guys price your bourbon for people to get their hands on it, as opposed to marking it up ridiculous prices based on
What we normally do is put that in our Brown Water Society. So, and we charge it the way at retail price. I mean, it all gets figured in, but that's he appreciated the fact that we do that.
Yeah.
and we kind of share it with people, and instead of, I don't know, I feel like some liquor store owners or bar owners or whatever might take that Pappy allocation they get and take it home and
Right.
or sell it for
Yeah.
$2,000 or
Right.
whatever they can. It can go for big money on the secondary market. So
And you guys
so there
got
is
some
temptation
extra
there, but-
bottles that you wouldn't normally have gotten.
Yes,
and
this
they
year we
flat
did
out
very
thanked
well.
you for
Yeah,
doing that. So yeah,
Well, and the important thing is that some of it has to get out
sure.
to keep the myth alive.
you're right.
You know, right?
If it completely just goes away and is all underground, then
Correct.
How would
I mean, I remember being a little kid, and my dog used to fall for the old trick where you'd take the ball and act like you threw it, and he'd go run, you know. And I did this 5 or 6 times in a row. My old man's like, "You got to give it to him every once in a while, or he ain't gonna do that anymore."
Right.
gotta
Yeah.
give it to him.
Right. So kind of along the same
You're
lines.
teasing him.
That's it.
That's it.
So in other words, we are the dogs.
Yes.
Chris
Yeah.
is the dog owner.
The dog owner.
He's the ball
Got to
tosser.
give it to
Gotta
us
give it
every
to
once in a while.
sometimes.
But yeah, so good for you, Chris.
Yeah, it'll be a good Brownwater Society year for sure. It'll
So,
be fun.
Andrew, you mentioned earlier, we heard a lot about you guys both being in band and being in school together. Any good stories about Chris that the world needs to know? Because the
Kevin,
internet never goes
I
away.
don't think we brought Andrew on for this.
Man, I got a bunch, but
But he might also.
yes, probably more so.
God bless you.
Yeah, we've had our share of fun, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that we both attended each other's bachelor parties. So after that, that's a bit.
That's probably where that conversation should start and end.
And we went through high school together, so everybody does dumb stuff in high
For sure.
school and after high
No.
school.
Some of us still do.
And yesterday.
And right now.
And yesterday's.
Yeah.
And like
No,
literally right now.
It's good. It's fine.
It's fine. So no.
No.
That
The
answers your
answer
question.
is no. I have no
No.
stories.
Yes. Right answer.
Yeah.
What's the next? You're in the Brownwater Society, right?
No, I am not.
Whoa,
I
I just assumed.
Andrew's not a bourbon guy. We
No,
did. Okay,
he's a
there
beer
is a
guy.
story here, though. We got him into beer. I
Okay.
think we can get him into bourbon.
For sure. For
Let's
sure.
do this.
Pre-Chris, pre-Chris brewing, I was not a hardcore, but a Budweiser fan only. Bud
Sure.
Light, whatever, Bud Select. They're my beers. Still are to this day. But I was never into any of the microbrews. And even the stuff that Chris made when he was at Garner Street, he would always give me a hard time and say I was bringing sand to the beach. That's what he always said. He'd have a party,
there's some truth to that.
and I would bring my beer. And Chris, why are you always bringing sand to the beach? You're always bringing sand to the beach. That's what he always said.
Because yours is a known quantity, man. You know what you're going to get.
Well, yeah, very much.
You like what you like.
And I have had an evolving palate since then. I eased into the wheat beers when they opened the place. That was kind of like my entry into microbrews. And I got really into wheat beers and all kinds of those things. Anywhere I went.
Good entry point.
Right. And it was always anything but and from there it went to anything but an IPA. I hate IPAs.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, give me a dark beer, give me a porter, give me anything you want to do. No IPAs. Then I went into stouts. I got really big into stouts one year, and now I'm really big into IPAs.
I was going to say, as he just poured you an IPA.
Yeah, it's very much there's very few beers now that are here or anywhere else for that matter.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a raging alcoholic, but
Any beer
You
at
bring a
all.
beer and I'm down.
Period.
the only ones now that I don't get into is anything with heat.
No.
With heat.
Heat, like the
High
Well,
proof?
he's got a
For
habanero up there on the
instance,
wall,
yeah, the habanero. I don't know. I don't
okay.
I never liked Bloody Marys or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like drinks are supposed to be drinks, and food is supposed to be food. And when you
You're blurring
cross,
some lines.
You know why? It's
Start
because you've never
blurring
had a
lines.
bourbon bacon Bloody Mary from
No.
Stubborn German.
No,
Yeah,
that's not for
well,
me.
Chris,
That's not for me.
Chris's
why.
Bloody
That is a-
Mary is the soup that drinks like a
I've-
meal.
yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's for real.
That is
And
a
I've
food
heard
drink.
that. I've heard they're spectacular.
It
And,
is.
You know, in the Optimist Club, we used to go down to Willie's after homecoming cleanup, and they would do they would do Bloody Marys all morning, and it's like that's not for me. No.
That's become an Optimist car show tradition, by the way.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, one of your Bloody Marys, and it really makes that event special.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Alcohol seems to make all the Optimist Club events a little
Special.
bit more special.
It's one of the members. It's Mr. Cohal, Al.
Al Cohol.
I'm pretty sure he's an honorary member.
I think so too. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's pretty interesting, though, that you've been able to expand the horizons, and I think there's definitely a level of trust about trying something different here. Now, if you go somewhere else, are you as open to trying a different beer at this point? Or?
For sure. I mean, anymore, I'm down for anything. When it comes for a beer, I usually ask the bartender, what do you get when you drink here?
All right, so that brings up a question. And have you ever worked? You haven't worked in food service, have you? Restaurant?
For sure. Yeah, I was a bartender for a.
Well, but I'm talking about food at like a restaurant.
No.
Right. Have you ever, Jared?
No.
You never have either, right?
Well, I mean, I did put one of my best years in at Burger King.
Well, so there you go.
One of your best.
The question is,
One of my best.
I know Burger King stories too.
When you
I don't
ask
wanna know.
Those should stay away, too.
you ask a waiter and or waitress what's good, is this like what they have a lot of tonight?
Right.
Yeah, is that are they pushing something?
Only once have I ever kind of like encouraged people to like the bar staff to try to. I don't remember what it was. It might have been pumpkin beer around Halloween or something.
If I had to guess, I
let's
would
go,
say
let's
Chris
go.
is pushing pumpkin. Get this crap out of here.
Yes, yeah. But after I did that, I was like, I don't know. I had a weird thought about it. It's like that's not right. I feel naughty. I shouldn't do that. Shouldn't tell. And now even my staff knows that like that's what I'm just about trying to get rid of. Like no. We're gonna dump the keg before we.
Yeah.
So that's what we do now.
Yeah, but in your case, honestly, if I came in here and some member of your staff said, "Just so you know, Chris doesn't really like the pumpkin stuff." If you're up for it, we want to get this down the road so we can make other things. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Not saying it's the greatest thing in the world. Not saying you have to.
Yeah, I know. There's another way to word it and all that. That's fine.
I mean,
But yeah,
I'd be like, hey, you
after
know what? I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, after I told them that, I was kind of like, it feels like I shouldn't have done that. So I never did it again. If the bartenders will tell you what they genuinely like and what they now they're all different. So it's whoever's working that's the opinion you're going to get. But
For sure. And here it is different because your staff is active. They're always trying stuff. They're making drinks. They genuinely know about it. They've had it all. But when you go to a restaurant, on the interstate somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, you really need to try the ham bone grits," and it's like, what? Yeah. The other one that gets me recently is restaurants have this thing now where they put like a little special logo next to certain dishes, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, this is a good one.
which it means we make the most profit on this one.
That's
Right?
what it means.
Or-
It has
yeah,
to be,
yeah,
right?
Totally.
But I feel like bartenders, especially in the microbrew or tap house environment, are really more interested in giving you what you want
Totally.
They get the long
as opposed
game. Yeah.
to the chain restaurant giving you what they want to get rid of. So I feel very confident going into a brewery or a tap house or anything like that and asking the person behind the bar, what do you think is good? Because I don't think like they have any skin in the game to lead you astray.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because they're also enthusiastic about this stuff and they want to share a good time.
Absolutely. And most of the time when you go to those kinds of places, they work there because they want to less than they have to.
Like when Ian told me that his favorite beer was the Rice Krispie Treat Ale.
You knew he was
I
just
know that
totally
he
lying?
wasn't just trying to push it to get it off the taps. Like,
Maybe that's the one I was talking
his
about.
favorite beer is Rice Krispie Treats.
Well, I'm sure in the restaurant world, there's some metric of maximum investment per ticket. And it's like I can just envision a manager saying, you could have gotten $2 more per that ticket if you would have pushed the lasagna tonight, but you didn't. Whatever. But I apologize to all those
Ian's
who are working
working
that
right
in
now,
if I'm
I'm
talking
just
out of
giving
my
him
ass.
grief.
Ian's staring at him like, what? What? The other part is like when you go up to a bar like that, you've already walked in the door. You've already bought a drink. You're already there to buy a drink. You're gonna get something. So like the bar staff has no skin in the game to lead you to this beer, that beer, that beer, that beer. Like they're all the same price within reason. Like we have $1 higher for IPAs, but like really, no one cares what you buy. Like,
well, but again, if they listen to you and they can figure out what you like, then they might get a better tip anyway.
Right.
So there might be
Exactly.
a little something for them to make sure that you have a good time.
If you
That's
tell
what you
them
want.
that you hate food beers like spicy beers, and they say, "Well, you got to try this mango
gotta
habanero,"
try the habanero.
and then you're like, "What the hell?" Yeah, there
that's
went your tip.
Right.
Wow, you didn't listen.
Yes.
No, every time I've gone somewhere, that's always been the follow-up question is, what I ask them, what do you drink? And they're like, well, what do you like?
Yeah.
And then if you tell them, everything but this, or I really like fruit beer or I really like IPAs. They steer you in that direction.
Yes.
In order to make your experience more enjoyable, because like you
Yeah.
said, more enjoyable for you means potentially more money for them. So
Sure. And a better feel for the whole place.
And a lot of places have 3 different IPAs on tap. So, like, if you're there for one beer and you ask them,
Where's your habanero IPA?
Yeah, narrow it down. Where's my habanero IPA?
Well, and
That's a terrible idea for a beer.
the other
Their IPA.
The other thing with that is that I've noticed is when you make that connection with the bartender or whatever,
Yeah.
and you say, "What do you like?" You become
Yeah.
weird friends as that.
All of a sudden, you're friends.
like,
yeah.
There's a connection.
Oh, you
yeah.
know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. We're gonna have
especially if you like the beer, then you're
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah.
nice call on the IPA or
yeah,
whatever.
and you're gonna be there for a little bit. You're there for a couple hours. Okay, that one was pretty good. What do you got next?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in the bourbon world it's the same.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
Probably
just
even more
realized
so.
that you're drinking Blitzkrieg IPA, and that
As
has
he-
the Metallica logo.
Of course it does.
You
Of
just
course, I
realized-
just put that together.
yeah.
Well, like I knew that had the Metallica logo.
Literally the
and
only
I knew
reason
that's
why I
the-
drink it.
Right, that's the only reason he's
That's the
drinking.
only-
He can't stand
really-
it.
He doesn't even like
He
it.
hates IPA, but he loves Metallica.
I really wish that wasn't the
That's
case,
how
but
much he really wishes Old Ledger Lager had
Had the Metallica, had
logo.
the little arrow pointy things on the ends.
It really,
They all will.
honestly,
Let's just
Yeah,
say
let's
it doesn't
just do
hurt.
Chris
every
gets
logo.
the biggest kick out of my evolution. in
I
beer
really do.
taste.
You're like the one that I
Yeah.
point to
You
and talk
worked on-
about.
you had
Yeah.
to- you had
and
to crack.
it has came along.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
I mean, I keep Blitzkrieg is in my refrigerator.
Nice.
75% of the
God
time.
bless you.
Yeah, it's in his advent calendar. It's everywhere. That's right. I remember having an experience at an Italian restaurant where I was tired. It was a long day, and the waiter comes out and he's like, "What? Did you look at the menu? What do you have?" And I'm like, "You know what? I can't even see the menu right now." And he's like, "Well, what do you want?" And I said, "Okay, let me think about
Spaghetti.
this." Well, but I said, I want a red sauce maybe, and I want a cream sauce, and I like some noodles, whatever. And he goes, let me make something for you, right? And he brought something that wasn't even on the menu, but it nailed it because he listened. And like you're saying, I was like, this guy's my hero.
Yeah. And you went back, didn't
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
Because
hungry
of
right
that
now.
experience.
Red
that sounds
sauce.
so good.
I kind of am too.
So Jared's saying we got to wrap this episode up.
Yeah.
Is that what he's saying?
Let's get to the German word of the day. All right.
Moving. All right. Fair enough. All right. Did we get everything out of your system? Any more stupid stories?
I think we learned we're not going to.
I mean, how long do you want to go?
No,
I got all
no,
kinds
okay.
of band
German word of the day
drumline
coming up.
questions. So
All right. Maybe that's.
Well, we definitely appreciate you joining us
episode
with
2,
those
yeah.
anyway.
Yes, we do. Okay. The German word of the day for this episode was Klebestift.
Right.
of course,
Klebestift.
That's a tall forehead, isn't it?
I thought it was meat cleaver.
I think you're both
So
right.
yeah, Kevin said a high forehead. Jared said a meat cleaver, and Andrew, of course, guessed binoculars, which it is not. You're like, no way did I randomly guess that. Klebestift.
By the way, I think now I have figured out what a high forehead is in German,
okay.
and it's a Fünfkopf. That'd be a five head.
A five, not a forehead.
Right, it's a five head.
Nice.
A fünf-
A very tall, large.
Another band name.
Oh man.
Oh my God, this is wow. We really went off the tracks here. Klebestift means glue stick.
See,
glue
right up
stick.
your alley.
Nothing.
Klebestift.
Is that tied to anything or
No, not at all.
Just
No,
type words
no.
Andrew
into a
doesn't
German
like
calculator.
sniff
I
glue
did
or
yeah.
something?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay,
I've
listen.
really straightened my life out.
I tried to do the whole like let's. I know we're going to talk about music, so
Yeah.
let's do music. Well, the German word for music
Right.
is music.
Nah,
I
just
was like, how
bratwurst.
about band?
But it's
we run
spelled with a
band.
K.
Yeah, but it's still pronounced music.
What's the German word for Metallica?
It's still Metallica, just like freaking bratwurst.
Knew it.
What about Blitzkrieg?
Right?
The word for band is also band. So I quickly went to
Glue
just
stick.
Sniffing
Of
glue.
course.
Obviously.
Right.
That's the
Next
Well,
logical progression.
We were so close.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging with us, Andrew, and appreciate the stories and interesting to learn about the arc of evolution of your beer taste.
You're going to try to wrap this up with a bow, aren't you?
I do what I can.
Glad
Good luck.
to be here.
Yeah, well, you know. So the funny thing is before we started this, Jared and I were chatting because Chris said that you were going to be on, and we're like, hasn't Andrew already been on? Because we've talked about this for a long time.
Many times,
And
yeah.
then we realized no. So you're always in our
Borderline
episodes.
controversial.
You're in
We're
our
always
shows whether you're
thinking
here or
of you.
not. Yeah, exactly.
Really, the problem is
appreciate
there's so many stories that could go in any different direction and some could get tricky.
You got to get the stubborn German
I don't know what you're talking
OnlyFans, and
Yeah.
you'll hear all those.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
All right. If you enjoyed this show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And next time Jared finishes an episode, it'll just pop right into your inbox and make your day that much better. Right?
That's right.
But for Mr. Chris Ron and Jared Chasson and Mr. Andrew Glessner, we're going to leave you with some words of wisdom. Prost.
Prost.
We are recording,
Go
by
ahead
the
and
way.
talk to yourself again.
Self-talker.
These pre-conversations are always my favorite part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, and if you don't talk, then we don't have any. So
This is all scripted, by the way.
Yes.
How we do this.
very, very much scripted. You like our new flower pot whiskey glasses?
These are
Flower
gifts.
pot.
These are outstanding.
I mean, it looks like something you would have a candle in.
Man, get no respect around here.
I think I had those at my wedding as centerpieces.
Everybody drink out of them by the end of the night.
Jared gave them to us as gifts. They're whiskey glasses tonight.
Yeah, these are great.
I will put plants in them later, though.
Yeah, I believe you.
The plants will be very happy.